Time now, 7:13. California's petroleum watchdog says Golden State residents are being overcharged for gasoline. A new report from the Division of Petroleum Market Oversight says drivers were overcharged by as much as $59 billion by the gas refining industry over the last 10 years. Let's break down what this means with Jamie Court, president of Consumer Watchdog. Jamie, thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
All right, so Jamie, let's start with this. In simple terms, what does this $59 billion overcharge really mean to the rest of us?
Well, it means that California's been an ATM for the rest of the country. We have the watchdog looking at the actual profit margins, the refining margins on the for the profits of the people refining the gasoline in California, and that is what that extra $59 billion represents. It represents the extra refining margins that they made here versus the rest of the country. And we also know that in 22 and 23, they made their biggest margins over $1 a year, both years, which is incredible. That's far greater than anywhere around the rest of the country, or really the world. So we know that the four refiners that now control 98% of the market are the problem. There's been great consolidation here. There's no market is consolidated, and there's nowhere that people pay more for gasoline than they do in California.
Okay, and I want to get to the consolidation part in just a moment. But, you know, when we hear about refining gas here in California, I thought, you know, California had a lot of regulations and restrictions on these oil refineries, these gasoline refiners here. So how are they able to get so far ahead with so much money, making all this money, $59 billion?
Well, they don't have much regulation. They have some environmental regulation.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we in 23, we passed some laws to deal with these price gouging problems, and we created this Division of Petroleum Market Oversight. So at least now we have the transparency to know what's going on. Unfortunately, the governor did advocate for a price gouging penalty that penalized the companies for making so much money. Yeah. But he backed off that plan last year because he was afraid the rest of the refiners would go out of state. And so we have a situation here where we don't have very good regulation of the refining industry, but we have so few refiners, we don't want to push them out of the state. But they're making so much money, I don't see them leaving the state. The good news is that in 24 and 25, after some of these reforms took effect, their profits moderated. We're still paying more for gasoline than we should, but we're not paying as much more. But we do know the big problem is we have these big branded companies that are making an awful lot of money. Chevron, Marathon, these companies are making 70 cents per gallon in margins over the last 10 years. And that's on an average. And in independent stations, they're making about 40 cents per gallon more than they should. But the deal is, if you can find an off-branded gas station, you'll probably pay 30 to 40 cents less in gasoline prices, which is what accounts for those margins. So if you shop around, you might be able to do a little bit better. But overall, branded, unbranded, California is getting hosed at the pump.
Okay, let's go back to how consumers can look out for this. You just touched on a moment ago, branded versus unbranded. So we're talking about like your Chevron gas station versus what, a smaller neighborhood gas station? Can you explain that?
Yeah, Chevron. An Arco gas station is funded by Marathon. Phillips 66 station is a 76 station. But if you're looking at just the off-brand stations, the Costco's, the unbranded stations, people you've never heard of, they're likely to be 30 to 40 cents less, and you can see that at the pump. I mean, I've seen differentials of $1 at a pump within a mile in Los Angeles. If you look around and use your eyes, you'll be able to find cheaper gasoline. But even that cheaper gasoline comes at a premium in California. Right. We're paying $1.10, $1.20 more for our gasoline than people around the rest of the country. We should be paying, just on our environmental fees and taxes, about 75 cents more. But sometimes we're paying $1.50 more, and that's when the gouging really gets out of hand. So you have to shop around, but even when you shop around, you're not going to get as good a deal as people in those eastern states or in the southeast.
And in the eastern states and southeast, is it because of regulation that they're getting these cheaper gas prices there?
No, they don't have any more or less regulation. What they have, we have environmental regulations that do add to the price of gas, but they help us with greenhouse gases. But that is baked into the price of the gas. Well, what they do in those eastern states is have more competition. They have more places to get gas, and because of the competition, it drives down price. Now, we do have one opening that could help us a lot. Phillips 66 is trying to bring a pipeline in, be the first pipeline to bring refined gas to California. It would come from the Midwest. It would be here by 2029. And if it does that, it'd be about 200,000 gallons of gasoline, which is an awful lot of gasoline, and it would bring competition to the market. I think the other refiners probably aren't going to like that, but it's what this market needs.
All right. Jamie Court, president of Consumer Watchdog, on this pretty stunning report here coming out. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and providing your insight into this. We appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
All right.